Candy. Estamos en Animal Kingdom con el Alejo, pero está lloviendo mucho. Acá venden paraguas, con paraguas no lo uso. No, pues cógelo tú, sí. No. Pues yo por eso mira cómo estoy, con todo eso. Yo también mira, tengo... Son las 10:38 de la mañana. Treasure Comforts, Africa. Rafiki's Planet Ranch. Y nos fuimos y no vimos bien el árbol de la vida.
Sí, pero después lo vemos tranquilo. Pero vamos a ver al
¿A Pandora?
No, al safari.
Al safari. Muy bien. Sus ponchos.
Must have.
Pues te vas a poner la bufanda.
Kilimanjaro safari will be upset.
Kilimanjaro safaris until 5:30.
That is the objective here. You're quite
Ese niño se montó ahí.
Pero feliz.
Niño, cuidado, se cae ese niño. Mombasa.
Bueno, esta vaina es una muy buena compra, te vas a comprar una de estas también. ¿Cierto?
Es importante. Después vemos cuál, pero quién sabe cuándo.
¿Qué pasó?
Pero veo cómo hago, señor.
Yo tocaría ir un día nos vamos a Universal. Podemos ir el último día.
Pero
Pues, y vamos nada más al City Walk y lo compramos y ya nos lo vemos.
hagamos otras actividades. Y el aeropuerto también está, hay un almacén.
¿Verdad? Y lo puedes comprar.
Sorry.
Sí. Safari Booking Office. Uy, está como resbaloso. No, si quieres volvemos a Universal. Volvemos otro día. Cuando, pues estos días va a estar de pronto asesor. Mejor.
¿Es Kilimanjaro Safari?
No, nos vamos a Universal otra vez en estación de sol.
No tenemos día para ir. Mañana tenemos de todo.
Ah, pues vamos al City Walk entonces.
Is to conserve and protect the small part of the great savannas of Africa and of course to share it with you. Today, Kilimanjaro Safari will take you on a journey into the
Ahora sale por acá. ¿Cierto?
Let's go. Jumbo, everybody. My name is Sydney, and I'll be your safari guide out there on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Just a quick safety reminder before we get started, and that is to please remain seated at all times with those hands, arms, feet, legs inside the truck. The road can get kind of bumpy out there, so that is for your safety. Now, above your heads, you're going to see an animal spotting guide. That should help you identify all the animals we might see out there today. Unfortunately, we're not going to see all of them, but we usually have pretty good luck. That being said, I recommend having your cameras out and ready to go because we can't stop for every animal to see. Now, speaking of stops, welcome to the Little Italy Forest, my friends. The animals that live here in the forest typically are a bit more shy and reclusive. They like to hide in bushes and camouflage themselves, but if you want to go and look to the right, you should notice an okapi there. A lot of people believe that the okapi is related to the zebra because of those stripes on its hind legs, but believe it or not, it's branches. That appears to be a female okapi, and you might be wondering how we're able to tell. It's because she does not have something on top of her head called ossicones. Ossicones are going to be those two bumps you'll see on top of giraffes' heads, but like I said, only male okapi have them. Up in the hills to the right, we're going to be looking at a big black and white bird. This is the saddle-billed stork, and it doesn't look like it from up here on the truck, but they are around 5 feet tall, with a wingspan of 9 feet wide, and that is about as wide as our safari truck, just to give you a reference. Now, another thing that's not too easy to tell from up here on the truck is how we distinguish a male saddle-billed stork from a female, and the way we do that is by the color of their eyes. Females are going to have more of a beautiful bright yellow iris, whereas males will have more of a dark brown eye. You're going to want to look up to the left because it looks like roaming around the back of this rock wall. We'll be looking at a black rhino here in just a moment. At least the top of his back. The black rhino is the smaller of the two rhino species here in Harambe, weighing around 3,000 pounds. And they do have a triangle-shaped upper prehensile lip that helps them to grab onto food. And they are the more solitary of the rhino species. That means they like to hang out by themselves, and that's because they can be pretty territorial amongst each other. Now, a couple of different kinds of antelope here on the left-hand side. I'm going to start with the copper-colored antelope with the horns first. That is the bongo, and they are known as the ghosts of the forest because they're rarely ever seen as they're nocturnal. And those light tan-colored antelopes closest to the watering hole, those were the greater kudu. Now, we can tell that all those kudu are female based on the fact that they do not have horns. Only male kudus do, and those horns can grow up to 6 feet in length. We are going to start making our way out of the forest, though, and toward the Safi River Valley. The Safi River is home to some animals like the Nile hippopotamus. So my recommendation to you is look around the water. You just never know what you might see hanging out beneath the water's surface. Now, I do see those hippos, but I'm going to get back to them in just a moment because I want to point out the pink-backed pelicans first. Those pink-backed pelicans get their name through the pink coloring on their backs that tend to become more vibrant during mating season. And those birds are colonial nesters, which means they like to live in large groups. You'll typically see anywhere between 20 and 500 pairs of those pelicans. Now, on the left again, we've got another bloat of Nile hippopotamus. The Nile hippos are nocturnal, so they're going to spend the majority of their day in the water like this, walking or running along the riverbed. And what's pretty cool about them is they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time before they need to come up for air. Nile hippos are some of the largest mammals in Africa, weighing around 5,500 pounds. And like I said, they are nocturnal, so when they do eventually come up at night onto the riverbank to feed, hippos are herbivores, which means they like to eat their veggies, but they're only going to eat about 80 to 90 pounds of food, which is a pretty small amount considering their body weights. Now, I know it's raining and the sun isn't really shining today, but I won't stop this next animal from sunbathing out here on the banks of the Safi River, and that's going to be these Nile crocodiles to the left. Those are Nile crocodiles. They're one of the largest species of crocodilian in Africa, with the average croc weighing around 500 pounds and measuring up to 16 feet long. They can eat up to half of their body weight in food in one sitting, and while they typically eat fish, unfortunately every now and then another animal can cross the path to become dinner. But not to worry because those guys usually only eat about once a week, and especially during the cooler temperatures, they don't need to eat as much or as often because their metabolism starts to slow. But as we come around the corner here, look to the right, because here in Raleigh, this is what we like to call a very big tree. But that's not just any big tree, that is a baobab. And it gets the nickname the upside down tree because its leafless branches look like its roots. That tree can remain leafless for up to 9 months out of the year, as it stores a large amount of water in its trunk that helps it remain hydrated. And by large amount of water, I usually mean about 40,000 gallons or so. But past the baobab tree names, we're going to start making our way into the savannah. And the savannah is where you might be able to see some fan-favorite animals like the giraffe, wildebeest, and elephant. You never know what's out here, so we'll just have to see what's up ahead. But as we do come into the savannah, on the right-hand side, we're going to be encountering a dazzle of apartments, mountains, and breadth. Like their name suggests, these zebras like to live up in the mountains in Africa. Now, it's an age-old argument. Are zebras black and white, or are they white and black? I'm here to let you know that those zebras in particular are going to be black with white stripes. And the way we can tell is by the color of some of their body parts. For example, their hooves and noses are black, which indicates they are black-bodied with white stripes. Now start looking on the left here inside the cave, because there is a pack of African painted dogs taking shelter from the rain. Unlike our dogs at home, these canids only have 4 toes, but they are some of the most successful hunters in Africa, with a success rate of about 80%.
Ah, sí, unos perritos que están dormidos allá
cats, including the
por el
lion.
frío.
These guys do like to live in packs around 5 to 15 adults, and one of the reasons why they're such successful hunters is because of their ability to work together as a pack to run their prey to exhaustion until it falls to the ground. These reddish-brown colored antelopes to our left, these are the stable antelope. Now they're going to use those horns on their head to defend themselves from predators. Those horns curve backwards because that helps to discourage any animals from trying to jump onto their backs. It also looks like we're going to be coming across some Maasai giraffe in just a moment. They'll be on both sides of the track. We identify these as the Maasai subspecies of giraffe by looking at their spots. So if you want to take a closer look at those spots, you'll notice that they've got more of a rough, jagged edge to them, and they're in more of an irregular pattern, whereas the reticulated giraffe you'll see up on your animal spotting guide have more perfectly shaped and organized patterns to their spots. Now the Maasai giraffe are the tallest of the giraffe subspecies, measuring between 16 and 20 feet tall. But because they are so tall, when giraffe are born, they're going to make a pretty big drop to the ground at around 6 feet. Don't worry though, this fall is a good thing. It's going to jumpstart the giraffe's breathing. And because of that, usually within an hour of birth, we can see giraffes standing up or walking around as a way to defend themselves from predators. And what a lot of people don't realize is giraffes are really fast animals. They can run speeds of up to 35 miles an hour, which does help them to outrun their predators most of the time. Giraffes are browsers. I like to say that they spend a good chunk of their day eating, looking for those tasty leaves and branches. And what helps them to do that is that long prehensile tongue of theirs, like I mentioned back and forth to the opapi. Personally, their tongue is one of my favorite things about them, and that's because it can be a rather interesting looking tongue. Believe it or not, it measures around 18 inches long and is deep purple in color. That helps their tongue avoid getting sunburned in that hot African sun. A couple of different animals out in the clearing to the right. I'm going to start with the smaller animal with that tan body and white underbelly. That is the springbok. Some could argue that they get the spring in their name from their ability to jump 6 feet up in the air and 13 feet outwards, which is a behavior we call pronking. Don't underestimate the springbok for their small stature though, because they are pretty fast animals. They can run speeds of up to 55 miles an hour, which does make them one of the top 10 fastest land animals in the world. Also out in the clearing, you might have noticed some shaggy gray animals. Those were wildebeest. Wildebeest like to live in large herds, and that's because there are safety in numbers. The wildebeest is also a migrating animal, which means every year in herds of up to 1.5 million wildebeest, they're going to make a pretty big journey. They typically migrate anywhere between 500 and 1,000 miles. Usually when I do my safaris, I love to ask my guests what their favorite animal is. Usually about half the trek says giraffe, but the other half says elephant. So if you're an elephant lover, get excited. Welcome to elephant country. And lying down in the mud there, looks like we're going to be seeing an African elephant. To the right-hand side. Based on the fact that this elephant appears to be alone, makes me think that they're most likely male. Male elephants are a lot more solitary than female. Until 5 p.m. with the exception of 1 o'clock. There is no show at 1 o'clock because we take a bit of a lunch break. I do recommend getting to the theater about 30 to 45 minutes ahead of showtime just because that theater does fill up really quickly. Before I forget, if we have any wilderness explorers on board, you've been riding the Simba 1. Once again, that is the Simba number 1. You're going to find that safari badge at the regular exit to our attraction. All you got to do is tell those troop leaders what truck you're on, and they'd be more than happy to give you that badge. Now, in just a few moments, we are going to get ready to part ways, but here in Harambe, we don't like goodbyes. Goodbyes are just way too sad and way too final. So instead of wishing you all goodbye, I'd like to wish you all something in Swahili instead, and that is Kwaherini. Kwaherini in Swahili means to go well. So once again, everybody, this isn't goodbye. This is just Kwaherini. Go well, go wild. My name is Sydney, and it's been my pleasure to be your safari guide out there on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve today. Start checking around for any belongings that you may have left on board. If you do have any more questions, comments, concerns, just want to say hi, anything like that, once we are safely parked and at the dock, you're more than welcome to come out and stand my window. My window is quite literally always open, so don't even be shy. Now, for those on you on the right-hand side of the truck, please watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. The warden is going to open our doors.
Ah, sí. Thank you.
Should we go over here? Can you see it underneath that rock? Oh, that's Max.
Hay una serpiente ahí debajo de la piedra. No veis que son ratas, ¿cuáles ratas? Son modos.
¿Son modos?
Sí, son modos.
Ah, ok.
Los que habían ahí, los chiquiticos que están ahí en esos lugares. ¿Te acuerdas? Los que son
Pero
todos
¿cómo salimos de acá?
Baptism by fire, really. Okay.
That was my brother. If you knew my brother-in-law, you would know the fact that he's equal to it. And he's just
We're over 100 feet from the pit.
reach in and grab one, Pete.
No.
Oh, we got a bird on the side. No?
Oh, guys.
Ay, qué bonito. Ay, qué belleza. Hay un nido. ¿Qué problemas de conducta aquí? ¿Ah? Cógela. Mira. No, porque sí. La única forma en que se enfermaba es que si se ensucian con petróleo, la impermeabilidad de sus plumas se pierde. Sí. Ah, ¿te acuerdas?
El gorila.
No, es un hipopótamo. Qué bacán.
¿Qué hay arriba?
¿Es un manatí o un hipo?
Un hipopótamo.
Sí, es un hipopótamo y lo están limpiando los peces. Sí. Pueden aguantar ahí.
He's waking up. Oh, he's sleeping again. He's catching up. He went in the water. When he's oh my God.
And the fish is cleaning him.
Okay, let's go.
No!
Everybody has to sit in there. ¿Qué rango te da? Pero es una piedra. Pero ahorita sacó la cabeza, mira, ahí va.
Los peces lo limpian.
Can take a breath?
Yeah, Karina.
No. Get in there.
Mama, his eyes are closed.
You made me napping. Taking a nap. Now they're open.
Mami, ese despertó.
La cabeza, yo tenía que sacar la cabeza para respirar cada cierto tiempo, ¿verdad?
Mira, es gorda.
Sí, papi.
Pretty cool, right?
Mira la tortuga.
¿Dónde?
Allá.
Pero ¿por qué los peces se le ponen así?
Para limpiarlo. Se comen
Las cosas que dejan de ellos.
que tienen en la piel.
Eso no es...
Son como la remora con los tiburones.
No por eso, porque cuando ellos están ahí quietecitos, no les...
Eso parece que se ve como si se acaba de limpiar.
Los peces hacen como la remora con el tiburón. Se le limpian su cuerpo.
Son muy especiales. Así, pero porque hablan así.
¿Quién es?
Así hablan, no, pero son muy especiales.
Ah, la gente de al lado.
Ya. No, sí, muy divertido.
Parece que en nuestro país, en nuestro lugar, hay más aprendizaje que en otros lugares.
Pero eso ya en la época de nosotros, porque ya no llegamos tan
Yes, that would be an adult example. You can track